Well, welcome to today's webinar that is being hosted by Silverstorm Mining Limited, which trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol SVRS and on the US OTCQB at SVRSF. Just put an F at the end there. Silverstorm is a Canadian junior mining company with an office in Toronto. Its mining assets are in Mexico. The company owns 100% of the La Parrilla silver mine complex, really located in Durango, Mexico, which is about 200 miles north of Guadalajara. The Parrilla silver mining complex is really three mines and then the surface equipment for processing the ore. Produced over 34 million ounces of silver from 2006 to 2019. Silver was under $15 an ounce in 2019, and the Pearl mine was placed in maintenance mode with the idea it would be restarted when silver prices increased, and they definitely have lately. This morning, the price of silver went over $80 an ounce, I think up to 85. I saw it spike this morning. Silverstorm acquired 100% of the La Parrilla silver complex in August of 2023 when silver was $23 an ounce. So Silverstorm will be restarting mining operations in a few months with first silver sales expected in Q3 of 2026. It is typical for junior mining companies to be re-rated and draw a lot more attention from investors once their mine is fully operational and generating cash flow. Personally, my experience in investing in Canadian junior companies that you're really investing in the management team. Do they have the skills, the funding, and the right assets to reach the goals of creating a viable, profitable company? And I think Silverstorm does. So joining me today is the company's president and CEO, Greg McKenzie. Greg is a former senior investment banker with over 20 years of experience. He has held positions with Morgan Stanley, CIBC, World Markets, and Haywood Securities, and he has executed transactions in excess of $18 billion. He previously practiced corporate law with a leading Canadian securities and M&A law firm. So during the webinar, if you have questions, please type them into the chat box and we will answer them after the presentation. With that, I will now turn it over to Greg McKenzie for an update on Silverstorm Mining. Welcome, Greg.
Well, thank you, Dan. Appreciate the opportunity to present to your contacts here, and welcome everybody. Um, Today, just want to give you an update on Silverstorm. Of course, there's a lot more material online, and happy to do follow-ups as needed. But there's really three reasons to own our stock. Number one, we are putting a former producing mine that was very prolific in the past, produced 34 million ounces from 2006 to 2019, back into operation, and that's scheduled to happen in Q2 of 2026, so a few months from now. Second, as I've been telling everybody I speak to since I took over the company in 2020, that silver prices are going to go much, much higher. It's finally here. And if you listen to a lot of the analysts that speak about silver, they think silver prices are going to go much higher than where they are now. Um, we will, be generating, quite a significant amount of cash flow from operations at silver prices that we have today. We had planned all our activities based on $30 silver, and silver's over $80, as Dan mentioned. And then the third reason is really the monster asset that we have in our portfolio. This was the asset that I came in 2020. The prior management team had made a very big discovery and put out a technical report that they filed with the Securities Exchange in Canada that had over 210 million ounces of silver equivalent, and with the potential to go up to almost 400 million ounces. So it's a very large deposit. It is average grade, to be fair, but it's the third largest undeveloped silver resource in Mexico, our geologists say. So those are your three reasons why this is a must-own stock, and we look forward to outlining the rest of the story. So on the far left of your screen, we have operations to start in Q2 of 2026, so in a couple of months. We mentioned previously that the mine on their First Majestic Silver, this was their very first mine, and we bought it from them in August of 23. They produced 34 million ounces from '06 to 19 from this mine, and it was so successful and so prolific in cash flow that they were able to grow from this one mine to buy several other mines and become the multi-billion dollar market cap company that they are today. And there's nothing wrong with this mine, but just the commodity prices were low, and so they put it on care and maintenance in 2019. One of the key features of this, the reason why I acquired it was that it had $150 million of in-place infrastructure, and I bought it at a time when nobody cared about silver. Silver was averaging between 18 and $23 over the period that I did the acquisition, and I was hoping for $30 silver. So it's worked out really well. There's a 2,000 ton per day mill and a partial mining fleet that we acquired with the acquisition. It's fully permitted and so ready to restart. For the first couple of years that we owned it, we drilled, and that's just in the third column there. We did 18,600 meters of drilling, and we were able to increase the silver resource by 107% on the indicated and 58% on the inferred. The next comment I wanted to make was about the plant rehab. That was a major issue for putting it back into operation. It was to replace the flotation cells, and so we ordered the flotation cells last summer before we had all the money. But that decision turned out to be a great decision because once we put all the money together, we ended up saving 6 months of rehabilitation time because we had put in those orders and jumped the queue for getting that equipment. If you're familiar with the Lassonde curve, this is a curve that's meant to help explain how value is created in the resource space. But you could have this curve in any industry. Essentially, in the early days, when you put the idea together and you get your first successes, the valuation of the company rises significantly. But then as you seek to scale and mature, typically you have a trough in your value until you achieve that next milestone, and then you're off to the races. So that's where we are, Silverstorm. We're right in the trough before we go into operations, and this is where all the risks have been dealt with. And so you've de-risked the business plan, and now it's just about execution on going into operations. And typically, what happens is you'll get a significant re-rating or revaluation once you deliver on going into operations. And then there's a second re-rating that happens when you start hitting your numbers. So it's a very good time to own the stock so that you can take advantage of the re-rating when we go into operations. This slide is just telling the same thing. Some of the companies on the far right of the screen are further advanced than us, and the valuation bubbles increase as you reach to the further end of get into production. The companies on the far left are typically the earlier risk companies, and as you move towards production, your valuation improves. This slide is an overview of our capital structure. Our largest shareholder is First Majestic. They own 19%. They got their stake from participating in various financings that we did post-acquisition, but they got the majority of their stake by taking our shares for in exchange for the asset when we did the transaction. The famous precious metals investor Eric Sprott is our largest individual shareholder. He owns about 11%. And then insiders such as myself, who have put significant cash into the company, we own around 2% at this time. Our market cap is around 400 million Canadian dollars, and we have 34 million Canadian dollars in the bank. We also have in the money warrants of about 52 million. So if those warrants were exercised, we would get another $52 million. So we don't need to invest all of this money. We only need to invest probably about 25 or so Canadian dollars to get to cash flow. So we're very well positioned with a good buffer in our cash. One of the key accomplishments that we had last year was getting Samsung in as our offtake partner. They they were part of a process where we had seven very keen off-takers and lenders, and we had a two-stage process, and ultimately three parties were brought to the final stage. And Samsung is the group that we chose to do the deal with, is the best deal that we negotiated. Market price is what's key here. So we didn't sell our silver at some low price. We get the prevailing market price. So when you invest in our stock, you get leverage to the silver price. If silver price goes higher from here, then there's more cash flow and you get leverage to that. This is a 2-year deal, so we'll be back to market in 2 years, or we'll continue our relationship with Samsung. But we have the opportunity to do what's best for shareholders. Some of the key people that we recently brought on are Arturo Zamudio, who's our general manager at the mine in Mexico. He ran one of Pan American Silver's big mines, La Colorada, and several other smaller mines in Mexico. He's a mining engineer and with over 36 years of experience. And then we've also recently hired Shane Gurlel late last year, who's an underground mining engineer with lots of experience. And we've been bringing in, not pictured on this page, but we're bringing in all sorts of folks to aid us with the ramp up. We have over 100 people on site every day and ramping up to operations. In the second quarter, we'll get to somewhere in the 400 to 500 range. We have 1,900 applications for only 400 jobs. So lots of opportunity to get the best people as part of our team. This slide just goes through the ESG side. Everything is on point. A couple of things that I like to highlight here is that 85% of our people are from the local community. And we believe that to be a good corporate citizen, you've got to integrate well with the local community where you're operating. We are located in Durango, which is a landlocked state in Mexico. This is where most, you're up in the mountains here. There's 23 operating mines in this in Durango. Everything that you need pretty much to run your mine is locally available, so that is really well. And the culture is it's a mining culture. The folks are have a long history and then therefore a lot of expertise in mining. So it's a really good place to operate, and it's really easy to get there, by the way. We typically will travel through Dallas. We can take an early morning flight from Toronto and get to the mine by early afternoon. So it works out perfectly. We are also the largest mine of our size that's closest to Durango City. So we're able to get people um, who prefer to be able to go home each day rather than being in a fly in, fly out camp, as some of the other mines are in Mexico. On this slide, I typically like to highlight that the history has been two-thirds silver and one-third lead and zinc in terms of the production. With today's silver prices, this ratio is probably over 80% contribution from silver and the balance from lead and zinc. We've also increased the size of the flotation circuit. It will go from 1,000 tons per day to 1,250 tons a day. And that's really on the back of that was done on the back of the successes that we had with the underground drilling that we did over the last 2 years. The longest lead items were the flotation cells, and as I mentioned, they were ordered in the summer and delivery for December 2025. On the screen, you can see some of the slides here where it shows that they were being manufactured. These pictures go back to September, um, and some of the buildings that were being rehabbed. Here, you can also see that a couple of the slides where we ordered our equipment, and this is all scheduled to be delivered in January and February. So soon we'll be on site. On the right side, you can see some of the ventilation fans. This is an underground mine, so providing proper ventilation is very important for safety. This slide just shows our resource that was published in March of 2025. And it just demonstrated the success that we had, the increase in the indicated and in the inferred. If you look at all categories, both indicated and inferred, plus that gets you to 27 million ounces, but then there's another 3.8 million ounces in pillars. So we like to think of it this way that, First Majestic produced 34 million ounces from '06 to 19, and we have on the books all categories plus the pillars, 31 million ounces. And we will continue to drill. Like as we move forward, we will start drilling again, and we'll continue to add mineral inventory to our resource. The three areas where we will be mining from are Rosario, San Marcos, and Quebradillas. These um, these are all prior producing areas under First Majestic, and our strategy for the first couple of years while we owned it was to go in and drill deeper and along strike, and so we did that in the 138 drill holes that we did. And on these slides, you can just see the two phases of the drill program we did in for the last couple of years. And we essentially hit on just about everything. And it made sense that we would hit because we were just chasing the existing veins. So some of the drill holes were, spectacular. One of them, actually two of them were top 10 drill holes for silver around the world. One was 14.6 meters, hitting 1,810 grams per ton of silver equivalent. Very, very significant. Same thing at Rosario's. Basically extending the veins deeper. The blue is existing development, and we just drilled from the last development, just chasing the vein lower and on strike. And it's basically open at depth, And that means as we drill and produce, we'll develop more and we'll continue to drill more. Same scenario here at San Marcos. So what's to come next? As we discussed, continue to rehab the plant for operations in 2Q of 26, complete the expansion of the sulfide circuit to 1,250 tons per day, and then operations commencing in the second quarter. Then also we have the big asset in our portfolio. This is a San Diego project. And I'll skip some of these slides here, but the resource that the prior management team put out in April of 2013 was 210 million ounces of silver equivalent, and that was based on 33,000 meters of drilling. And then the geologist said that we have basically another 20 to 50 million tons at 100 to 150 grams silver equivalent. So when you put all that together, it ranks us as the third largest undeveloped resource in Mexico. So once we get La Paria going and we have cash flow from La Paria, then we'll be able to put more attention to getting back to San Diego and continuing the drilling that we did in 2020 and 2021 and 2022. Some of that drilling is represented on the screen. We started out in 2020 with this geological model on the left. And when we took over, we identified these three ellipses as the main targets for us to chase up. And our drilling at San Diego, we basically hit on everything. For example, in this 1849 zone, we hit 169 grams over 42 meters. We hit 84 grams over 134 meters. And these are really long intercepts. One of them was 152 grams over 320 meters. That's 3 football fields. And then in hole 2157, we discovered open pit scenario sitting right above the Fernandez zone, 72 grams over 273 meters. So these are really long and broad intercepts. When this mine is scoped, I would envisage a 10 to 15 million ounce per year production scenario once this is scoped and advanced. So very exciting. And, our market cap went up to 100 million when we only had San Diego. And now that we have an asset that's going into operations, we don't believe we're getting any value for San Diego today. So, part of the story, as I was mentioning before, is you're getting La Paria and that operating exposure to an operating silver mine, and then you're getting this massive silver endowment in a resource for free. I'll comment a little bit about the silver market. It's very topical, but I've been talking about this for 5 years, and finally what I've been saying is finally happening. If you look on the right side of your screen, we've been in deficit for 5 years. Almost a billion, if you add it all up cumulatively, almost a billion ounces of silver deficit. And that silver deficit is set to continue. And you might ask why that is. That's because most of silver production is byproduct silver. And it comes from very, very large copper mines. And you would need significantly higher copper prices to justify a investment. And we're talking billions of dollars for the average copper mine in South America for them to decide to add more capacity. What that means is we're in a supply deficit for a longer period of time. It's very hard to close that supply deficit. And so that means Guys that are in the middle or guys that can get into production now have a lot have a lot of upside in the silver price before new supply would come on the market to knock down the price. And that gives a lot of upside potential in our equities. So where is demand coming from? Most of the demand in the silver market is coming from photovoltaics. So think of solar panels, and that's a very big use right now. And then there's high-end electronics, AI, all these like data processing center. They can't do without silver. All the high-end military uses can't do it without silver. So, that's why President Trump put it on the critical minerals list, because there's a real issue with it now. And then the second thing that's most recently happened is that the Eastern world has rediscovered silver as a form of monetary value. For 5,000 years, those cultures have always, they've used silver and gold, but now they've really ramped up using silver again as gold has gotten more expensive. Um, One of the other factors that is impacting and will continue to impact silver prices is that as of January 1, China, the second largest producer of silver in the world, has put a restriction on exports of silver. So everybody around the world realizes the critical nature of having your own security of supply. And China recognizes that. And obviously, the administration in Washington understands that as well. We've talked a little bit about the special uses of silver and that most of the silver is byproduct. Now, these last two slides just tells a story from a technical perspective. We've talked about some of the fundamentals. I could speak a lot more about that, but if you want to think about it from a technical perspective, this chart that you see is a gold silver ratio chart. And each one of these red, if you ever played snakes and ladders as a youngster, each one of these red slides down is a reversion to the mean event. And so what happens, that is a very significant increase in the silver price when the gold silver ratio compresses. So, for example, in the 90s, there was a doubling of the silver price. Then around 2010, the effects of the global financial crisis, silver went up almost 400%. We had another 140% increase in the silver price event right around COVID. And each time the gold silver ratio abutted 100 or close to 100, we had a reversion to mean. And so we're seeing that now. Silver last year, it was as high as 110 or 105 gold silver ratio, and now it's back down to below 60. And that's from a technical perspective, you can see that that's why the silver price has gone much higher. And then this slide is just showing the same information in a tabulary way. If you look at 4,500 gold on the left and you pick a gold silver ratio of, let's say, 55, then you can see that you have a silver price in the $82 range, and that's sort of where we are today. Why don't I stop there? And if there's any questions, I can take them now.
Yeah, I got a few questions. We already talked about the silver market. That's great, and I agree with you 100%. We're just hoping the same thing happens with oil once in a while. Usually the gold to oil ratio is much tighter than it is now. Okay, so you guys acquired the mine at a much lower silver price. So, and like you said, 30. What silver price do you need at La Pereira, if I'm pronouncing that right, Perilla maybe, to be free cash flow positive in the second half of this year?
So La Paria, when we acquired it, silver was in a range 18 to 23 approximately. And we did all our planning, our cash flow planning based on $30 silver. So we would have been quite happy at 30 or in that range, and we would make money in that range. The average, we haven't put out a economic study because we have all the data from when First Majestic ran the operation.
Mhm.
And even after inflation, like I can show you a slide with First Majestic's numbers. So these are First Majestic's numbers from the last 7 years of full operation. So you can see they averaged 3.5 million ounces of silver equivalent production per year, and their C1 costs were $8.46 an ounce. So if you look at the Mexican average for all-in costs, it's in the 20 to $22 range.
Okay.
And so if you take that as an analog, and you layer on $30 silver, you would see that we would make, roughly 30 million per year in free cash flow. Now, obviously, silver price is a lot higher than $30 today. So if we produce 3 million ounces and we have a margin from the Mexican average to the current silver price, we're going to generate well over $100 million annualized of cash flow. So that's the leverage and how powerful this mine was for First Majestic. Just take a look at their ticker.
Yeah.
Look at their market cap, multi-billion-dollar company. They started on this asset. So it became too small for them, but because they're focused on 10 plus million ounce assets, but it's a perfect size for us. 3 million is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good to me. And like you said, it'd be like if you're in an oil well thinking it was breaking was $50. The next thing you know, oil goes to 120 or something. That's just all
Exactly.
falls right to the bottom line. So, okay, if everything goes as planned, when do you see your first silver sales out of the mine? Or I guess are you just selling ore or are you actually selling silver?
So we're selling concentrate. We
Concentrate.
produce two different types of concentrate, and Samsung basically we will deliver regularly each month.
And well, what's the timeline on that? You think you're going to have the mine open by the end of the second quarter?
Indeed, indeed, we
Oh,
will. And
okay, that's
so
the
and so that the you don't hold your concentrate. You keep your process moving.
okay. Okay. And how do you get it out of there? It goes by rail or something?
No, it's packaged into big, 1, 2, 3 ton um, bags, or it's put right into a sealed truck,
Okay.
and it's taken to the loadout facility for Samsung, and then they pay us for it.
And where do they take delivery?
At the port. So
Okay.
there's a for lack of a more description, it's at a port, but it's actually a facility near the port.
Okay. So at that point, that's where you get paid. You've delivered the
Once
bags.
we deliver it, we get paid.
Okay, good. And then and explain their offtake agreement. It has something to do with the market price of silver.
So it's essentially the market price when we deliver it.
Okay.
That's what we get paid. So
Okay. And
obviously,
then
if the silver price keeps going higher, the next delivery we get paid more.
okay, great. Great. I mean, sounds like a perfect deal, and obviously a very large company that can perform under the contract. So when did you personally get involved with this and you were working in investment banking and stuff, so then you became this is your full-time job, right?
Indeed. So I spent many, many years as a banker. I worked for Morgan Stanley, CIBC World Markets. In New York, I was doing M&A. And then after 9/11, I came back home to Toronto and worked with Haywood Securities, which is a boutique mining or resource investment bank. And I was the MD in the Toronto office. And then from there, I came over on this side of the business. I took over this company in May of 2020, and I put my own money in and had a bunch of my friends put money in. And then we were able to raise money with some very, excellent and supportive investors. And we drilled, that's when we started drilling San Diego. And we
Hmm.
were very successful. The market rewarded us. We had 100 million market cap just on San Diego alone. And then when the market rolled over and they were no longer paying us in our market cap to drill holes, that's when I decided, well, we need an asset that we can put into production. So I worked with SRK to help me on the geology side, and we reviewed several different projects, and we landed on buying La Paria because it had such a prolific uh, history. It always made money, and it had amazing land package for future discoveries. So we're able to do a deal with First Majestic, great partners, and here we are today on the verge of putting this asset into operations and really rewarding our shareholders.
If San Diego works out and you can prove it up, is First Majestic the most likely developer of that mine?
Well, First Majestic is a shareholder. They own 19%.
Uh-huh.
Um, we want to see San Diego advance so that we can deliver more value to our shareholders. And yeah, I mean that's it's a great opportunity and a lot of upside.
All right, good. Let me get to, okay. When do you expect to start more exploration work at San Diego once you get cash flow going from this first mine?
Yeah, I think I think it's important to deliver on the base case.
Right.
As I was raising the money last year, what I was messaging to investors is that we're going to be focused on delivering um, on La Paria. Execution is everything.
Hmm.
And once we execute on the base case, then it opens up opportunities to do all sorts of things. Like we're itching to get back to San Diego, but we have important work to do to deliver at La Paria, and we're almost there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you mentioned on your timing, you got enough cash to get to the finish line on that one. And then you also got the warrants there. Because I know some of them, I looked at the warrant table and most of them are deeply in the money, right?
They are indeed, but you know what happens when you're raising money in, when people didn't care about silver, it was difficult to shorten up the time frames on the warrant to put forces on the warrant. So, um, you know, the investors at the time, put their money in, and it's their right to hold the warrants as long as they want to. But we expect that you know as we execute, people will see what we're doing, and they'll exercise more of their warrants.
Hmm.
And then we'll have more flexibility to do more drilling and add more value to the company.
And the Samsung deal, they give you $7 million to get the mine going, and then you got to pay that back. But you can all instead of like, sending them money, you could use that as payment for the product you're selling to them, right?
Yeah, I mean that's it's really a prepayment facility,
Okay.
and so obviously it has to come out of the product that we give to them.
Yeah, yeah, okay. It's like a uh, production payment against a loan. on oil and gas kind of thing. Okay. Let me get to some of the questions that Nick has typed in. It says, you have a lot of shares. Any plans for a rollback?
I can tell you as a banker, been around this business a long time, that I really don't like rollbacks.
Mhm.
Um, it's a rare occasion, probably 3 to 5% of the time, where it actually makes money for shareholders. And so I don't think we would consider it um, at this time, and maybe never. Although there are some good reasons to do it. Some shareholders have asked us to do it because it gives margin and all these kind of things, and attracts new investors. Like some investors won't invest in a stock that's trading under $1. But there has to be, in my mind, a good reason to do it. Like some other companies have done a rollback to get a New York listing, um, you know, things like that. We're not there, and so we have our heads down, focused on, delivering on the base case of getting La Paria up and going, and then we'll look at, other things.
Yeah. Uh, are really the one general question that I had before we even got started, what could keep you from opening the mine in the second quarter? And then there's some specific questions that they're saying the relationship between the US and Mexico, or is there concern that the Mexican government might hold back on mining permits? But I think this mine is like fully permitted, correct?
Yeah, this mine is fully permitted, so we don't have that concern. What could keep us from going into production? Well, nothing that I can see, nothing that's foreseeable. I
Yeah.
suppose there could be unforeseeable things. Um,
You don't have any trouble finding workers for this, right? You're in a mining district where, people want these are good paying jobs for the area, I'm sure.
yeah, as I said, we have over 1,900 applications for only 400 jobs. So,
Yeah. And how deep are the mines? They're underground, and
so that's a great question. This is one of the issues that we were when we were doing the diligence on this. Um, we wanted to know if you look in this trend.
Mhm,
Um, because we didn't know, like we thought there was more resource at La Paria, but until you drill it, you don't know. But what we could do is that we could look on trend, and we talked to our SRK about all these other projects that have gone 2 and 3 times deeper than where La Paria was, and so that gave us geological confidence to move forward with the acquisition.
yeah, and some of your drill program, like you pointed out, you got some of these veins that look highly, like you said, two of the top 10 in the world or something are in Mexico. And
Two of the drill holes turned out to be top 10 for the year. And that was pretty special, but we haven't made our any of our plans based on getting those type of results. We've just focused on what did they do before. Yes, we'll have a few higher grade areas, but our plans are just basically continuing what was done before.
mhm. Now, is like you mentioned before that silver is found a lot of times in a like where they find copper. So is there copper? Is there other things like copper in this area?
We don't have any copper.
Okay.
What we do have is silver, a little bit of gold, and lead and zinc.
Lead and zinc. Okay.
So we just typically lump actually the gold is becoming like interesting. We just typically lump that into the silver number, but because of the gold price has gone up so much, it's actually starting to be an interesting contributing factor itself.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, well, the way I look at it, silver, like it's critical metal for a lot of things, like solar panels and military, and copper's the same way. I mean, there's nothing that replaces copper as far as transmitting electricity. There's nothing like it. It's like God created a metal just for transmitting electricity or something. But and I also think you mentioned before, I think people now to buy an ounce of gold is $4,500. So well, I'll just start buying silver. Just gold's like gotten priced a lot of people out of the gold market, so they're turning to silver. So I see that going. So,
Yeah,
do you have any?
if you're seeking alpha for sure, silver is the way to go.
Yeah,
There's a lot more upside in silver. Of course, if you go throughout history when things reverse, the reverse is true.
yeah. Okay, Dale mentions here some miners are facing challenges with the cartels in Mexico. Is that any challenge in your area?
We've been working at La Pria pretty steady and we haven't had any challenges. So, I know that it is security is an issue, but typically if you focus on what you're doing, you don't have any issues.
Yeah, and plus mining is so important to the country of Mexico, correct?
It
I mean,
really is.
it's a big mining district. It's like they're not going to do anything that's going to mess up the business, I wouldn't think. Uh, security. Do you have to have security people there? Is that an issue?
Every mine I've ever been to in my entire career has security.
Okay.
And we also have security. Um, at our site. At some point in time, we'll have site visits, and everybody has to check in, and
Right.
everybody. It's known exactly who's on site and all those kind of things. So yeah, it's a big operation.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to have, safety issues and all kind of things like that too, right? Okay. Any plans for a US listing? Well, I mean, you're listed on the OCT UX, right?
So we've been pitched pretty heavily over the last 12 months to do a U.S. listing, and we noticed that many of the companies in our sector have been doing that. Um, we'll obviously consider it, uh, but right now we're focused on just getting things going at La Paria. I think all the opportunities open up once we deliver on that base case at La Paria.
So wouldn't the first thing to be uplisting from the venture exchange to the TSX, correct?
Maybe, maybe not. I mean, it really depends. Uh, there's no, 25 years ago, there was a stigma in being listed on the venture versus the TSX.
Hmm.
Um, but that has long passed. There's a lot of substantial market cap companies that are on the venture exchange.
Hmm. Now, I've actually had some of my largest gains in stocks have been on companies on the venture exchange.
Indeed.
And it really, like I pointed out in the opening remarks, I mean, at this point, you're really investing in the team. And it looks like you got a good team. And then do you have the funding and do you have the right assets? And I think you check all the boxes for that. It sounds like to me. What's on your balance sheet right now, in addition to the $7 million Samsung loan, what other debt do you have?
Uh, there's no other debt. I mean,
Oh,
if you if you dig deeply into our financial statements, you'll see that in respect of VAT, we owe First Majestic $1.7 million, but we also have the government owes us almost $5 million in VAT, but so that's a net benefit of 2.3 million US dollars, but we don't put that in our presentation.
but other than so you got enough cash to get the mine online, and then you should be cash flow positive. So other than spending money on San Diego, uh, and isn't there at La Perilla, isn't there's three mines, but are you opening all three of them? Or just the one at the start?
So they're all connected actually.
Oh, okay.
And I to keep things simple, I would just say they're just mining areas,
Hmm.
right? They're all you can see the infrastructure connects them right across. And we will be mining from all three areas. And why would you do that in an underground mine? Well, the reason is to provide flexibility. So you might be getting, depending on where you are, the geology might work out that you get, in 1 month you might get more tons from one area than you do in another area. So it allows for development flexibility and mining flexibility to make sure you keep your tons appropriate feeding your mill.
Yeah. Yeah, because at any one point in time, can't you be, following a vein and then suddenly the mix or the quality of what you're getting out doesn't meet the standards, so you can switch to a different place, right? Okay,
Well,
I
you would have drilled you would have done drilling long ahead, so you know exactly what you're going to get. But there can be any number of operating issues that might cause you to focus in one area more than another area at any particular time. But your mine plan would allow you with the flexibility that we're building in, your mine plan will be smoothed out.
okay. And do these mines they run 24/7? You're mining constantly?
That's the way it would be
Okay.
done. Yeah.
You have different shifts, day shift, night shift. Okay, okay. Let's see. Great execution. James says, great execution, not planning on exercising warrants, as still sitting on our position. This is somebody that has a lot of the warrants. Are the warrants publicly traded?
They are not publicly traded.
Okay, okay. So, okay, can you talk about current mine life? Oh, what's the current mine life of this one?
So
Yeah,
again, we haven't published a mine plan or economic study, which is where you would typically find a mine life.
yeah,
But if you, as I was saying before, if you add up all categories and the pillars, there's 31 million ounces. And we only stopped drilling because of timing and capital.
right.
Um, and if we were to do 3 million ounces a year and all the resources were to convert, that would show you easily a 10-year mine life. Now, we intend to drill more. So drilling in an underground mine will be an ongoing activity, and we expect similar success to what we've already achieved. In addition, the land package contains numerous opportunities for further drilling, which we have not had the money or time to do. So, as we were going through the debt process and the different groups had their independent consultants, technical consultants come and review the property, it was identified and, constant conversation about, expanding.
Mhm.
And, our focus was base case first, then we'll chase up other opportunities, including opportunities for potential expansion.
Yeah, and your surface facilities that are processing the ore, like is San Diego close enough that if you did that mine that you could take the ore over there and process it there?
Well, it is not. San Diego's of the scale where you would want
Build
to
your own.
build your own operation there. Now, could you take some of the high grade veins on surface and truck that? Yes. But we have so much low-hanging fruit at La Paria
Yeah.
that you wouldn't do that.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, okay. Do you need? So we answered that question. You don't have any current need to take on any more debt. Okay. Adding a warranty. Are you going to have to buy more equipment at La Brea?
Um, yeah, when our equipment wears out,
Okay. Yeah, but no immediate need to get the mine open. Okay.
we just placed it. We put out a news release where we just placed an order. I'm trying to find it. Yeah, we just placed an order for all this equipment.
Okay.
Um, you know, you you know, you have to maintain critical spares. and there's only so many hours that you can put on and any piece of equipment before it needs to be overhauled or replaced. So yes, we will buy more equipment in the future.
Mhm. But not an extensive amount to get the mine open. You have
No,
what you need to get the
we
mine in
we
production.
we have what we need. Yeah.
Okay. Then the one comment Ed asked,
Let me just clarify. We have
okay.
we between what we already have and what we've ordered, we have what we need.
Okay, great, great. Okay. And so you're expecting again to clarify the first deliveries of product to Samsung would be like in the third quarter, July, August or something?
Well, we're targeting operations in the second quarter, so that's when we
Okay,
would
that's when you
expect
start
to
getting paid. Okay,
that's
okay.
when we would expect to start delivering.
Yeah, and I think that's a big deal. I mean, I've invested in several mining companies. It just it seems like they always take forever before they get to where they're generating any revenue. So that's what I'm excited about this. Looks good. And I would expect that with the silver price, the chart is like, going straight up now, that there's going to be more and more investors looking for silver mines to invest in. And I would think that's going to draw a lot of investors to this sector. Man, it's just, doesn't look.
It's a mixed bag because in my mind, sometimes when the commodity price runs up on a spike, the market misallocates capital. So typically the market will gravitate to the entities that give the best return on capital. But when the commodity spikes, there's indiscriminate investment, and maybe that's good because maybe we'll get a number of discoveries as an industry out of it. But for my money, I would have preferred to see, a steady, um, you know, trading range so that capital decisions are more disciplined
Mhm.
and investment is made to those who would better use the capital. But as an industry, we've been starved of capital, so maybe it's a good thing that a lot of different groups are getting money in, so that maybe we can get some discoveries in the industry.
Yeah, personally, when I looked at this, I thought, well, instead of investing in somebody that's talking about their first, production of silver, or copper, or whatever is 5 or 6 years from now, this makes sense because you guys could ramp up. Could you accelerate your production at La Parrilla?
Well, we can't, I don't think, go any faster. We'd love to.
Uh-huh.
But ultimately, once we deliver on the base case, we'll for sure be looking for ways to, subject to drilling, increasing production or
Mhm.
doing other things that low-hanging fruit things that will enhance shareholder value.
Yeah. Well, could you ever see? I mean, if see, silver goes to $100 an ounce or something, it will you do you see the potential for paying dividends in the future?
I think that's definitely in the cards.
Okay.
Um, Investors like to get a return on their investment, and that's certainly one of the ways to provide it.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the oil and gas companies that I follow, they think their stock is like grossly undervalued. So in addition to paying dividends, more and more of them are doing stock buybacks.
Yeah.
It's
I
literally
I
like 50% of the companies I follow are doing stock buybacks because they think their stock's grossly undervalued.
I heard the president wants to outlaw dividends and stock buybacks.
God. Anyway, well, I like dividends. I like them both, but I think the big guys investing big funds of money, they like the capital gains instead of the dividends. So that's why they do stock buybacks. Let's see, drawing it around cents. Uh, why did you change auditors? Do you had to change your auditors? I didn't notice that, but
Yes, we were using a little firm from Vancouver,
okay.
um, and we are growing rapidly and doing a lot of important things, and BDO has a local office in Mexico, and as you go into operations, you really need the capability of a bigger firm. Um, you know, it's a longer story than that, but that's probably the biggest reason today.
Okay. Uh, Ed Post with BAC, I guess it's Bank of Canada and Citi short millions of ounces of silver. This is looking very promising. Do you get that comment? I don't not quite know how to respond to
I
that.
I'm not sure if Bank of China.
Maybe it's BAC, Bank of China. Are they short millions of silver
I
ounces?
I would doubt that.
Yeah.
Uh, they've been stockpiling silver in China for over
Oh,
20.
okay. Then he just typed in Bank of America.
Oh, Bank of America. Yeah, for sure. So, the American banks from what the literature that I've seen, the American banks were short JP Morgan, B of A, and a couple Citi and a couple others were short silver, paper silver,
Right.
for many years, but then have gone net long on silver recently, for what I understand. And so, you know, China, which was the second largest producer in the world, has, changed I don't think the silver price is being suppressed like it was in the past.
Mhm.
And so now, the American banks that were short silver, you can see now why the silver price is starting to move. If you buy into um, the theory that they were holding the silver price down with all the paper that they were trading. Now, another view is that the physical requiring physical delivery in China has bifurcated price discovery, so that now it seems that there's always a premium in Asia versus in the COMEX, where you're settling in cash. And so, typically you would see the prices equalize. But there's definitely a bifurcation in price discovery right now.
Yeah, something's going on. Whatever. I think you mentioned somebody said, "What's the metallurgy like?" So I think you mentioned what two-thirds silver and then lead and zinc.
I think the question that they're probably asking is on recoveries. And so we can show you what First Majestic
Oh,
was generally achieving in the high 70s and up to 81, and we believe that we will be in that range.
okay. Okay. Which looks good to me. Anyway, shelves. What does LBMA shelves are bare mean?
Oh, maybe they're talking about uh, um,
N-
the London
Oh, okay. Yeah. The
uh,
London, the silver mark. Okay.
silver bullion
Yeah,
in London.
London bullion market. Okay.
Yeah.
Ed, I'm sorry, I am not a metal, I'm not a mining guy, so I don't know all this stuff. But anyway, all right, I think we can end it there, Greg. I think you did a great job. I've really clarified a lot of stuff for me. I will tell you that a lot of our members have more and more interest in metals. That's for sure. I'm getting questions about metals that I can't answer, so I have to forward them to somebody else. But we do have members that do own do know quite a bit about it, and we have a lot of members up in Canada too. So anyway, thanks again for doing this. And if you ever want to get down to Houston and meet some of our guys, do a luncheon or something, we can set that up for you.
Okay, well, maybe I can end on those three points again, why you need to own our stock. Number
Okay.
one, very few companies are near-term producers that you can find in a basically a pure play silver company, and we fit the bill. Uh, Number two, you're investing in a company that will be generating significant um, cash flow in the future. And number three, we have with excellent upside potential in the resource. And then and number three, we have this fantastic asset in San Diego, which is a very large endowment of silver, and you're basically getting that for free.
Okay. Well, somebody says there's going to be a replay available. Yes, there is. What we do, we record these and then they go on our website are sent to our members and they're like a private YouTube. But then in 2 or 3 weeks, it becomes public on the YouTube channel. And we've done like, 50 or 60 of these things and some of them get quite a few hits. Like I think we only had like 35, 40 people on the live call today, but we've had several that have get thousands of views. And then, of course, Greg, we're going to send you the replay link too, and you can send it out to whoever you wish. So, with that, I'll end it. And thanks again for doing this.
Okay, thank you, Dan, and thank you, everyone.
Okay.